Within a few minutes, all of us will experience all four desires. However, what I make the case for is to figure out at any given time, what is the primary desire you need to focus on in the short term? Yes, you have all four, but is there a way to begin to focus your attention such that you can more effectively fulfill the most critical desire for your well-being and happiness? Clearly, if you are having a health crisis, your primary focus should be on getting healthy. If you were having an issue in your relationships, for example, which is fundamentally this desire for pleasure, if you were having an issue around relationship one way or another, that you had a relationship that was going through difficult times, or if you wanted a relationship, or you were just kind of beginning to reconcile your own relationship to relationship, then we want you to focus on that. And the reason for that is the tradition believes something very important, which is that your mind is the architect of your destiny. Your mind is the architect of your destiny, which means that each of us shape our destiny. Yes, partially there are things that we can't control. But the tradition also believes that you, in fact, shape your destiny. In fact, the ancient wisdom on this is that what defines us as human beings is that we are the species above all others that has the ability to influence the future. So by focusing on which desire in the short term is the one that's going to help you, you begin to coalesce the mind's power, and we're going to make the case that your mind has almost infinite amount of power to become almost anything it wants to be. My first teacher said to me early on, this was almost 35 years ago, and he said, and he quoted an ancient scripture that I didn't know at the time. And the quote went something like this. It said, "A human being can achieve almost anything and can surmount any difficulty if they can harness their power." I'll say it again. So a human being can achieve almost anything, can surmount any difficulty if they can harness their power. So it's nice to acknowledge you have four desires. But by focusing on the one that you need to fulfill in the short term, you can begin to coalesce your power around it. The point is that what all a magnifying glass does is it takes diffuse sunlight and it focuses it. Think of your mind in the same way. So if I can focus my resolve, my intentionality, if you will, around a specific desire, there's actually a methodology by which I can make it more likely that I fulfill that intention. And remember, here's the thing again, remember that these desires, if they are authentic, are going to lead you to your destiny. That's the main piece that we really need to kind of consider. And if we think about it in that vein, then it behooves each of us to understand what is the most relevant desire now. And what I try and do and remind people of in this context around shaping desires, what is important enough that if you fulfill it in the next 6 to 18 months, your life will take a dynamic or real turn toward the better. What in 6 to 18 months? And the reason I do that is I don't want people to make 10-year goals. I'd rather you focus the magnifying quality of resolution and intention around something that's important, but not overwhelmingly into the future that you won't get feedback that you can accomplish it for a long time. Instead, and then on the other hand, I don't want the idea of creating an intention that, well, I'd like to not have chocolate cake today for lunch. That might be important, but it's not as significant as we'd like you to really create resolution around.